Welcome back to the Childhood Cancer Perspective. Thank you all so much for sticking with me through all these episodes. And today I finally have a guest on here that I've talked about a couple times. He never wants to come on the episodes, but I finally got him in here. His name is Timothy, aka Just That Guy. Yeah. You know, if you need something, he's that guy. He's been around through thick and thin. We've done a lot of stuff with our nonprofit and a lot of things through pediatric cancer awareness, and so I finally got him on here. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. We got a live audience out there, man.
We do.
They're out there. You can't hear them. Calm down, guys. Calm down.
I see them though.
They're out there.
Soundproof.
All right, there you go. All right, so we also are doing this. If anybody follows us on social media, we are on TikTok. We go on live a lot, and we do things to raise money for pediatric cancer awareness as well as raise awareness in general. So we are on live right now, so anybody can ask us questions if they choose to. But we're just going to kind of have a conversation and see where it goes, and we'll see if I post this later. There we go.
That's generally how it goes.
So go ahead, man. Just talk about yourself. Tell everybody here in the podcast world and in the TikTok world that maybe they don't know who you are. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. But why don't you let them know who you are and tell them why you're here. Come on, man.
So weird.
Just get into it.
So weird. It's like a conversation we've had like 100 times.
It really is. But now you're going to tell the people out there.
Gotcha.
And then I'm going to put it out on all these different channels, and they're going to get to meet you. The real you, man. So just peel back the layers, dude.
Oh, it's like Shrek here.
There you go, man. Let it out.
Well, you said my name is Tim, and obviously I'm here because, well, these kids deserve more and better. I feel awkward and weird. Not going to lie. It's like a lot of pressure.
I know.
So it's weird, even though there's nobody. My palms are sweaty.
Yeah, but the studio audience wants to hear what you're saying.
I know, they do.
So let it go.
So I got involved in this because in 2019, my fiance, Victoria, she passed away from Ewing sarcoma. Downloaded TikTok as kind of just a mental break, of something to do to pass the time. Ended up getting involved with a group of people. We did a couple fundraisers, and it just kind of went from there. Obviously met you a few months before JC passed away, and our friendship just blossomed and grew from there to what it is now. And now I'm in Wisconsin, not Louisiana, and walking downtown with the bear, doing things that I've never thought I'd do.
I mean, I was the bear.
Yeah, but I had to walk with you.
Yeah, but you know what? People loved it. People loved it, man.
They did.
I showed some people at work today. It was like, that's you. I said, yeah, it sure as hell is.
I did. Made a lot of kids smile. Made a lot of people laugh. So it was a good time. It was good to have that local interaction, which I think we need to do a lot more of.
Right. So everything since when I started this podcast, everything that I do is to kind of see it from a dad's perspective and see it from a child's perspective, meaning my daughters as siblings, to kind of get their interactions, to have my wife in here so you can get it from her perspective because it's different. And that was the whole point of this, so that I could get that out there in a way that doesn't usually get seen. And to be honest with you, both of us sitting here as fathers, I don't want to say don't get the recognition, but I don't think that we are on the forefront of a lot of this stuff. I think it's really seen as mothers that are the comforting ones that are there when things go bad, are there to make everything better. And we kind of, I think, are ingrained to just carry the brunt of everything, or carry that stress, or that's what we feel like we have to do. So we don't really come out on the forefront. So I don't see a lot of dads that really speak out on this or become the advocates. I see a lot of moms doing it. So this was a space that I thought I could get into. And then as far as what we do together, it's hard to explain, okay? It's one of those job descriptions that there isn't a job description.
Yeah. It just says everything.
There's so much, and there's no real rhyme or reason to how things go. But we definitely continue to push and strive to make a difference and to make a name for what we're doing. And that is difficult because not a lot of people want to hear what we have to say.
No, it's an uncomfortable thing. Nobody wants to think of a sick child. Even when I was in the hospital with Victoria at MD Anderson, I don't know if I had blinders on or was just so focused on what was going on, but you don't really see that. Or if you do see it, you don't really connect two and two. Or even if you see a child in public, you don't really put that two and two together that, wow, like that's actually a kid that has cancer.
But you don't. As parents that are brought into this, and you're brought into it like you're thrown into it, like you get hit by a bus and you have no idea what you're supposed to do, which way's up, which way's down, and then you go back and you kind of relive your own childhood and think that every time you ever went to the hospital, even for something simple, you never really realized that there are floors of that hospital that have children that are going through this. You never associate that with it. A lot of us associate adults. You associate breast cancer, which is what you hear probably 99% of the people. That's what you hear about. You hear about adults having cancer, but you don't hear about kids having cancer. It's because nobody wants to talk about it, and nobody wants to believe that it's a real thing. And it's an unfortunate side effect of what we go through, that there's so many people that feel like they have to be a doctor. There's so many people that feel like they have to tell us what we should or shouldn't do, or what we should have done, or let you know what stage of anger or grief you're in.
Have you figured that out yet?
I'm dangling.
We're still there.
I'm between numbers, man.
Varies up and down.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's videos get shared to us all the time, and how we react to them is really dependent on the day. I had one shared to me yesterday, and I looked at it this morning, and it was a nurse. It was an oncology nurse, and she was giving you all these different tips about how to avoid getting cancer. But if you went through her comments, it was a lot of parents of children, basically explaining the realization that no matter what you do, even for adults for that matter, no matter what you do, cancer is a very finicky bitch, and cancer does not discriminate. Cancer a lot of times is not based on your environment. For kids, it's not. It's not based on your lifestyle. It's based on shitty luck. And we all have these types of cancer cells and those types of cells in our body. It's whether or not they break off and mutate. It's a crapshoot, kind of like everybody that's had chickenpox. We all have shingles inside of us. Whether it's going to come out, who knows? But yeah, there was a lot of parents that were saying they don't think I don't think the nurse meant it to be bad, or she didn't really mean it to be anything other than informative, but to really continue to push these types of things all the time, like, hey, you should avoid this, and you should avoid this, and you should do this, and you should do this. That's not always going to make a damn difference, and especially with kids.
Well, I think that's a lot of things, like parents, they're going through it, or the worst case scenario where they actually lose. That's the last thing they want to hear, is that something that they potentially did. Is you're sitting here trying to say that, well, if you wouldn't have done this, or if you did this, then this wouldn't have happened. I think that's never something that anybody wants to hear or think about.
That's truth.
So
keep going, man.
No, I mean it's your show, man. I'm here as a guest, man.
Okay.
You're the host.
Right,
I'm the guest, man.
All right. Well, I'll keep talking. But if anybody has any comments out there in the studio audience, and by studio audience I mean TikTok, throw them through the comment section, and we'll answer them for you. Now's the time to get us when we're right here.
Well, here you go. Then How about I ask you a question?
You gonna ask me a question?
I'm gonna ask you a question.
I thought you were the guest.
I am, so I get to ask questions.
I don't think that's the way that goes.
I do. So
wow.
So what do you view as the biggest issue as far as with the funding? Besides the whole, they say it's rare, they receive enough. What do you feel is the biggest problem with getting more funding?
The biggest problem with getting more funding in general is that our politicians and our government is so hyper-focused on whatever the newest woke thing is. Whatever the newest thing is that has come out that gains the most attention online and the most attention in the news is what they focus on. And nobody focuses on the kids that are going through true battles, that are going through true things in their life that they did not ask for, things that they cannot fight off on their own. And because of that, you cannot get a lot of support. You cannot get a lot of people that want to be on your side. It's an unfortunate thing. And I'll put it out there too. I know that a lot of people were angry at our House of Representatives member here that was getting rid of, or wanted to get rid of, TikTok. But I mean, he's been trying to do that for years. And but he was our inside connection to the federal side of everything, and our connection to the Childhood Cancer Caucus in Washington. And he just recently announced that he's resigning his position. And as much as you think that he doesn't listen to his constituents, I would implore any of you to find a politician that listens to everything you say, or even will give you the time of day. And he at least took the time, and I was able to speak to his office and try to get that connection going. And he did sign on to some bills because of us and because of our story. And now I've lost that connection. So the biggest issue is getting people that are willing to work with you and willing to listen and realize that what we have going on in our own backyard, on our own soil here, can be more important than what's happening around the world. And we can't solve the world's problems because we've got problems right here.
So do you think that in order for like for a politician or something like that, that they have to be personally affected? Like, does it take something that tragic or something that bad to happen for somebody to actually like listen and care?
It would make a world of difference if people, unfortunately, were affected by this. They would jump on board in a heartbeat to make a difference. When it's this, I mean, this is. I don't think this is just uh, solely for our cause or for my hill to die on. But unless things personally affect you, then you tend to not care. Now, there's a lot of things in this world that don't personally affect me, and I don't necessarily not care about them. But at the same time, I don't put as much effort into it because I can't control it, and it doesn't affect me personally. And because of that, honestly, I would say there's not a whole lot of sense in it. But this is a problem that can absolutely 110% affect anybody at any time. And it's a realization. Like I used to say, and I still say this, that if you're going to go and approach a politician and you're going to sit in their office or a governor or whatever, you sit down and you take notice whether or not they've got their kids' pictures up. And you hand them that photo frame and you tell them, listen, any one of these kids right now could be diagnosed with what took away our child.
Yeah.
Would it matter then? Would it make a difference to you then? Would it make you want to get up and actually fight for it? Would it want to make you actually pay more attention to the future, the ones that are actually going to keep you in office, and the ones that are going to eventually be changing your diapers when you're in your 80s in a nursing home? They're not going to be around to do that.
Yeah.
We are forgetting an entire generation of children, an entire population. There's 75 million people on this planet, or in the U.S. 75 million that are under the age of 18, and that population is going to go away. That's about the same amount that elected the last president. And you imagine that's that many people,
Yeah.
that, or at least we were told. But that's the same amount of people that elected a president, and you're telling me that amount of people doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I thought that they did. So that's where we are. It's unfortunate. We can't you can't move forward if you don't have anybody that's willing to be on your side.
So okay. So now follow up question.
No, wait a minute now.
No,
Somebody
no,
got a question for Tim because
no,
I feel
no,
like
no, no, this is good. This is good. So
wow, man.
so I always said one of the first things that attracted me to your account was, obviously when I met you was at the very end of JC's journey. But one of the things that I was drawn to me was that you showed the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Now, when you look at campaigning for like childhood cancer and things like that, commercials, and not to take anything away from anybody that does that, but do you feel like if they showed more honesty, or do you feel like they just put this nice little gift package in front of you? And you're like, look, they're smiling, they're happy, they're not really sick. Yeah, they're battling cancer, but they're fine.
Well, I mean, think about one of the greatest things that you've ever heard, whether it was with Victoria or with any of these kids. Well, you don't look sick.
Yeah.
They don't look sick, right? I mean, any of these kids that are going through it, even the kids that are in remission, even these kids that have zero scans that are or NED or any of that stuff, you are still fighting a battle, and you will fight a battle for the rest of your life. And that whole, well, you don't look sick or you don't look sick. Listen, JC didn't look sick either. After she had her surgeries and she was going through radiation, she looked like a normal kid with no issues, no problems. She would go to the hospital first thing in the morning, have radiation, come home and play like nothing ever happened. Radiation of her brain, and it didn't affect her in the slightest. And that's the thing. It's when you see all these commercials on TV, and everybody knows the ones we're talking about, it is all flowery, and they just recently, within the past year, have started. There's a campaign that they were running in their commercials where they have a kid going through it, and then later on in the video they will show the mom that's saying that the kid eventually passed away. They just now are doing that, where before it just seemed like everything was, well, we were saved because we went there, we were saved because this is where we were. And it's not realistic. I will never take anything away from that organization, what they do, what they continue to do ever. But I will say it over and over again that continuing to put all your eggs in one basket is dumb. It's not. It doesn't make any sense. It's like having one lifeboat and 100,000 people. Okay, and you're not going to get everybody into that one lifeboat. You're going to end up leaving people behind. and that's the way it is. So yeah, I don't like the flowery stuff. I think they don't do it for animals. They show these animals sick, dying, starving, just on the edge
Shaking out in the cold.
right.
Just, yeah.
They show that, and what does that do? That sparks people to send their money. That sparks people to get involved and want to open animal rescues and take in rescue dogs, and that's what it does. But with the type of marketing that you see with this organization and others, it's meant to make you feel like everything is okay. We're doing everything right, but yet you know what? Maybe we need to run campaigns that are showing the bad pictures. Because listen, I know that I have pictures I've never shown people. I'm sure with Zeke, I'm sure there's pictures that you've never shown people. With Strider, I think maybe it's the same way. Never shown these people these pictures because they're graphic. There's blood. The kids look freaking horrible. That's the whole thing. It's like that, but that's what you have to see. And it's like I used to tell people, make people uncomfortable to get them to listen to you. But you know what? Maybe you need to make them sick to their stomach. Maybe they need to see exactly what it's all about, so they would actually take a minute and listen to what you're having to say. Because it is like everybody's saying, it's out of sight, out of mind. But when you have all the flowery side of it, then why would you think it's an issue? I mean, I wouldn't think it's an issue by watching those things.
Well, no, because I mean they're all smiling, happy. I mean, they're bald, they have the hair loss and everything like that, but they're always smiling and look like they're just having the time of their life. They're running around. When the reality is a lot of these they don't get to do that. They're trapped in a room. Like Robin, she's been in the hospital since
August last year. since our gala.
Yeah. Trapped in a room, and I don't know. I think that it's a marketing ploy. I think that if they were to show that, I think their funding would actually go down because people would just change the channel immediately.
I mean, I think, and that would be just human nature at that point. With the dogs, I don't know what it is. You're drawn into it. You feel like you have to save them. If you saw kids that were, just sick and emaciated with no hair and the colors out of their just at these kids at the worst, and what the chemo does to them, yeah, it's scary. It's absolutely scary, and it would, to me, it'd be like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. But we've as parents have seen our kids at the worst, and but unfortunately people don't want to look at it, and it's a shame because if you see it, then you might want to make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see what else. Let's see. We talked about that.
Yeah.
You got any questions for me? I mean,
you want me to ask you questions?
I mean,
man?
we can go off. We can. I'll try to answer the best I can.
I can ask you questions, man. Let's see what we can ask. Somebody throw me a question in the chat, which you want me to ask him, but I'll ask him. So the studio audience is thinking right now. Okay, so yeah, I'll get the Jeopardy symbol in here. Yeah. But yeah, so let's think about this. So now you've met a ton of kids through this, and we can honestly probably both say that social media and maybe TikTok, if we want to go that far, is a valuable tool for us. It's a valuable tool for what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But what type of impact have these kids made on you that maybe you transfer over to how you think or how you parent your own two kids?
Well, I've always said, I have two beautiful daughters. They're healthy, and I'm grateful for that. But I also know the reality of it, like you said, that at any given moment, your reality, their reality, that could become my reality. These kids, they'll make you look at things differently because they're able to take a horrific situation and still laugh, smile, and have that genuine heart to want to give back. Like they think of others before themselves. And I think as we get older, that's something that we lose. We become so self-absorbed with what we have going on in our own little bubble, our own little life, work, being an adult, I guess, that we forget that at one point in time that there was more important things out there, and they've definitely taught me that.
No more. I thought you were gonna keep elaborating.
Dude, I'm kind of a shorter answer guy.
I thought you were gonna keep elaborating.
It's my first time. I'm nervous. Like I said, this is my first time.
I hear what you're saying.
So I'm nervous. But yeah, I mean, they will. They'll make you just rethink so many things. You know.
Yeah, and then one of the studio audience out there, um, to talk about the nightmares after all the trauma. So and listen, everybody thinks, like, I think in your mind, if you say PTSD, you think military. Like, I think
Yeah.
you lean that way.
Law enforcement, military, yeah, some,
Because
yeah.
trauma, any of that, or EMTs, things like that. You see trauma, you have that, you take it home with you. And when But PTSD in this community is really, really real, and definitely something that you carry on. And for us, unfortunately, when JC passed, that was something that is very hard to not have triggers, and things you didn't think would be a trigger turn out to be triggers for you, whether it's smells or sights or places, sounds,
TV shows,
time of the
just
day. I
yeah,
mean,
it's ridiculous the things that you'll be just sitting there and all of a sudden you'll hear or and just yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's something that is 100% real. Scanxiety is a real thing. You're going through all these phases of NED, and you're at a 3 month time frame that you scans, they look good, we'll see you in 3 months. Okay, 2 months, you're starting to get a little bit nervous. 1 month, you're starting to freak out. A week before, you're damn near having anxiety attacks because you're hoping that those scans are going to come out good again. But the trauma of seeing your child go through something, for us, like say the very first surgery was 10 hours. Um, and we were in the waiting room. We shut the waiting room down. We were in there so long waiting for, and I remember that the surgeon finally came and talked to us, and his hands were a completely different color than the rest of his arm because he had the gloves on for so long. And he was in there, and it was an unbelievable thing because we didn't know what was going on. I mean, the really cool thing, I guess, and I don't know if this happens with adults, but I know within the kids hospitals that we were in, is that every hour we got a text saying, okay, things are going well, or we got a phone call that was telling us, okay, things are okay, and they're calling you from the operating room, telling you everything's okay. We'll update you in an hour. And it was really something incredible for us. But to sit there and watch TV shows and try to laugh or try to think of other things besides the fact that you don't know who you're going to see come out of that room, because the side effects of going through the surgery, you are hoping that none of them happen. For us, to after 10 hours we went in there, the child had her thumbs up in a popsicle, and it was like nothing had happened. And these kids are unbelievable. And the fact that they go through this stuff and they continue to smile and laugh and worry about you, worry about if you're going to be okay, and worry about whether or not you're going to make it mentally if something happens to them, all while they're going through the worst time of their life. I can't even tell you what these kids do for us. Obviously with our daughter, but all these kids we've met, what they do for us and our psyche. It is definitely a hard thing for us to do every single day. But I think lesser people would have given up by now because we're hear the word no so much, that we would have said enough of this. We're just going to move on, or we're just there's nothing we can do. That's not happening here.
So do you feel like with doing this, like sometimes they say time heals all wounds and things like that. Do you feel like doing this and being meeting new families, new kids? Do you feel like every time you do that, or every time one passes away, when these kids pass away, is it kind of like reopening an existing wound?
It's
Because obviously it never heals, it never goes away.
No, and I
Um,
think and I've described this in an episode before, but what I will tell you is when we lose a warrior, it's tough. It's tough on us. It's tough on me. For a different reason than it is for, say, people on the outside that just kind of follow what we do, but aren't physically in the community with the child. It affects us in a different way because this is another life lost that we were fighting to save. Um, and for us, I've always said that having two older daughters, it is harder for me every year. It is harder going through this every year because I'm seeing my older daughters accomplish things. My oldest is graduating high school in a few months and going to college. My my 15-year-old will be driving in a few months on her own, and she'll be the only kid in the house, and JC never got a chance to do these things, and I know she would have been up her sister's ass. She would have been right there in the passenger seat, going to Starbucks every day. She would have been right there, stealing their boyfriends, all that kind of stuff, because that's just the kind of sassy little kid she was. But she loved her sisters, and seeing this, and then watching, we're losing warriors, and we're losing them every day, and we're losing ones that we didn't think we would.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense that this continues to happen, and the crap that I see our governor here in Wisconsin and the crap that I see our politicians fighting for, it makes no fucking sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all. The amount of freaking money that we have sent other places, and the amount of money set aside for other things, and the amount of things that our politicians are willing to fight for, blows my mind. It boggles my mind. And we as parents are basically told essentially to suck it up and move on, because it's rare, so there's no reason for us to focus on it. There's no reason for us to try to fix it.
Rare.
Should we fix it? Should we just go ahead and fix it?
I don't know, man.
Because is it rare? I mean, what does the word rare mean anyway?
I mean, but,
you know what I mean?
Doesn't it mean that you hardly see it?
Like, I mean,
rare, it's like that 1 in a million. That's rare.
I mean
that's what I would think rare.
That makes sense to me. I mean, I see it a lot, and I don't know if, I mean, you've been to Washington D.C., right? In September?
Yeah, twice.
Was there just a couple families there, or was there a whole bunch?
I mean, well, it depends. Where are you talking about that was there, or are you talking about out there at the memorial?
Well, just in general. I mean, there's a lot of people there for a certain reason.
Yeah.
It's not just a couple.
No.
Not just a few showed up.
No.
I don't. Listen. You know what? If it's rare, why do we have the word pediatric cancer? Why do we have pediatric cancer drugs, even though there's only a couple of them? If it's so rare, why do we have it? You know what's rare? People that give a damn.
Yeah.
That's what's rare. If you really want to add words in there, that what's rare is people that give a damn. But what there's no shortage of is people that know everything.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's a doctor. Everybody's
absolutely.
an expert.
Yep.
Everybody says you shouldn't eat this, or you should eat this, or if you eat
horrible red dye number 5, man.
Fucking, if you eat 20 eggs a day or something, all of a sudden, it's just going to change everything. Like, listen, I'm a big believer in what's meant to be is going to happen.
Yeah.
And if it's meant to affect you, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do in your life, there's people that are just fitness gurus, right? I mean, there was the guy on The Biggest Loser. That guy was one of the trainers. He was fit as hell. He had a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing all the right things. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
And money doesn't matter. I mean,
money doesn't mean a damn thing.
Toby Keith.
Kate Middleton.
Yeah.
Freaking royalty, right? I mean, listen, it doesn't matter who you are and what you do. If it's going to affect you, it's going to affect you. It's how you choose to attack it, whether you choose to fight, and saying that you're done with treatment is not giving up.
No.
You always win. Cancer never wins. You always win that fight, because you don't have to deal with it anymore, and it goes away. When you go away, that one goes. Yeah. So you're in control, and it does not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're female, you're male, you're rich, poor. It doesn't care. Everybody in every single population is affected by it. And even if you say that one population is affected more, to me that statistic is completely useless, because it's still affecting people. We're all people. We're all humans. So let's fix the problem instead of trying to break it down by population or by color of your skin. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
And it adds to the groups of people that are willing to fight for it, because you added a symbol on there, and I don't like that. But what do you do? What do you do from here? I mean, what more do we do? I
have ideas, but it's probably not something I want. It's not something we're gonna.
Well, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna give up on this, and we're gonna. I'll continue to fight for something until we get some type of positive change. But it is very easy in this world or in this space to say, I'm going to give up. I'm going to be done because I cannot do it anymore. And I said that there's two kinds of families. When something happens, when you lose a child, there's two ways you can go. One is that you completely disappear and you don't want to be known for it. You don't want to talk about it. It never affected you. You want to just put it out of your mind. Yeah. Or the other side of it is you want to fight on and live on in your child's legacy to make a difference. Now, there is not a problem with either one, but there's just two different routes you can take. And I chose, now my wife has told me that if I did not do this, we would be that family number one. We would have just not, we wouldn't have forgotten about her, but we would not be out there. We would have just moved forward with our life and just kept her memory alive, but didn't do all of this if it wasn't for me. I just choose to say that there's no way that I'm going to let this go the way that it affected our life without making some type of positive change. I have to. Yeah. Otherwise, I feel like I have failed her. Say something, man. I feel like I talked the whole time, man.
I mean, you have, but I mean, you're the more articulate one. I'm guarded with what I say because I have a bad mouth.
Don't be guarded, man. I got a global audience of at least 50, dude. So come on, man. Just get it out there.
No, it's just it's bullshit.
I'll try to put it on YouTube, but I don't know what'll happen.
I think that if more people just took a second and actually looked, I think it would make the world of a difference. Or if they just stopped it and realized that there's so much more out there that affects more than what they know. I've always challenged anybody to meet one of these kids or get associated with a group that does. And once you're there, I mean, you can't walk away. Like, there's no way in hell I could just. I joke about it. I say I don't even like kids. I'm done. I'm switching to puppies.
He can't leave.
I'm switching to puppies. I'm switching to flowers. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this.
You can't leave, man.
But no.
Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna find a better group of people that are willing to go to hell, back in jail for their cause, man?
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, you just can't. I mean, there's no way. But the kids that I've met. And unfortunately, I've met kids that are no longer here. I mean, it's bullshit. Like, I don't know what else we need to do. I mean, I know what we're willing to do.
We're willing to do
damn
mostly. There's a couple things on our do not do list, but there's way more on the will do list in order to somehow, some way, create some type of change in this world that is going to be positive. Yeah. It is not about recognition. It is not about glory. It is not about any of that. We don't need trophies. We don't need our names on billboards. We don't need any of that stuff. I just want these kids to get the recognition that they deserve. And unfortunately, they don't. They get left behind. You'll see a story every now and again on a news channel, but realize that those stories are happening because us as parents are reaching out to the news stations and reporters to say, hey, cover my story. They don't care otherwise. It's not something. And listen, I've reached out multiple times and never gotten a response back because your stories have to be approved by the top of the news channel. And if it's not something that they can run with, or if an organization you reach out to donate to your cause for research says we're going to see if we have an appetite for it, and then they never call you back, or if you're told that that your mission does not align with our giving priorities. I don't even know what that means.
I mean, it'd be one thing if say your priority is like if you go one way, like say you're a veteran. Okay, I can see where okay. I mean, still you're a piece of shit, but I can see where that you would say that it doesn't align with it, but. Like if your thing is community involvement in children, how can you say that something that is 100% engulfed and around kids doesn't align?
Even if it's not kids, it's community involvement, man. It's on their websites, it's in their mission statements, it's in all of that. We love to give back to the community, but every single cause that has come of this country in the past 8 years has been but. These people are important, but these people right now are the ones we're going to fight for, except. And there's always, they don't put that other part in there, that last word's left out, but it's a reality. And we support our community and we give back to our community, but but organizations that fight for kids with cancer, because we don't align with that because we're a defense company.
Yeah.
Okay, then why does the Department of Defense give billions of dollars to breast cancer research? Line that one up for me. Okay, it's nothing against. I'm telling you, it's nothing against breast cancer research, but that's weird. That's a weird place for money to come from to go to cancer research.
Well, no,
it's a weird spot.
Sex sells. That's the real. I'm not saying anything bad. See, you're gonna get, but that's
say what you want, man. This is free reign, dude.
I mean they have save the tatas. Who doesn't? Yeah, who doesn't like them? I mean, they come in all shapes, colors, sizes. They're fun to. It is what it is. So it's easy to market to that.
It makes sense. I mean, it really does. Right, and see, that's the thing, and that's a comment. Listen, I reached out because there is an organization that does pink patches in October, but it's something that they worked out with local PDs and stuff like that, and they do pink patches.
Yeah.
And I reached out to them and I said, "Tell me how you got this started, because I would love to be able to do something like this in September." Never fucking wrote me back. I just wanted to know how they got it started. Just an idea. I've also reached out to our local PD. Crickets.
And you'll see dealerships too. Dealerships do the
pink
cars.
Oh, everybody does pink because we know what pink stands for. That's the whole thing. And it's never been like, I have been back and forth with people about this because it seems like we're attacking that community when we're not.
No, absolutely not.
It's that everybody knows what pink is, but nobody knows what gold is. And all I want is for that color to be recognized in the same manner that pink is. I want our organization and our community to be the Susan G. Komen of cancer, of childhood cancer. That's what I want, because I want it to be like, okay, every September we know that all these companies are going to support it. Why? Because it's good marketing for them. How much of the money that they get from that they do actually goes to research versus how much of that pink is just used for marketing? I think you'd see that a vast majority of it is just like Walmart.
Yeah.
Right? Walmart sells all that pink stuff. No money's going to research. They don't even know they have it out.
Yeah.
Call Walmart right now and ask them, do you guys have anything for breast cancer? They'll say, we don't know. Because it's just shirts. They get in a box and they put them on the shelves and they sell them. None of that money's being divvied out. And so it's all just for marketing. Now, some of these major giant corporations that have big, foundations, and they do things like this, and okay, this month all the money is going to get donated here, fine. That's one thing. But when you just physically have product on your shelves and it says one thing and you're not physically understanding what it means, it's to me it's a waste. And we've been trying for years to get these types of things put into other stores and get them to do, whatever, but they focus on major corporations, or they focus on other organizations that have a much bigger platform. Like, say, a lot of these people, they do Make-A-Wish, which is fine. I love Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
Make-A-Wish did things for us, and we love them. And we've defended them on social media to a T. Absolutely. But, they'll say, okay, well, they do Make-A-Wish, or they do St. Jude. It's the same thing. It's like all the money's going in like 3 different places, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of organizations out there that do, maybe they're not doing global things, but they're doing things for the local community that they cannot do because they don't have the money, because all the money is going to all these giant corporations that technically probably don't need all that money funneled in all the time because they can get it.
Yeah.
Come on, give me something else, man.
All right, so let's see.
Give me something else.
40 minutes. I'm watching the timer. I know you said you normally do 30, so I'm watching the timer. So let's see here. So we talked about stereo stuff, but let me ask you a question. Of everything we've done, so we've done a lot. We've been doing this for what, a year and a half, 2 years?
I think it's been like 10 years.
It's aged us 10 years.
There's definitely I've got osteoporosis and everything.
Yeah. So out of everything that we've done, what's one of the most memorable moments?
You mean aside from spending like 6 hours trying to get audio working on a video for our big event?
That would be the worst.
That was
one.
That was terrible. Listen, I'm just letting you know.
There's pictures out there.
I am a very determined person.
Yeah.
And persistent. And if something is not working, I'm going to go until I pull my hair out to get it to work.
No, that was that day.
That was it.
Yeah.
I was at my limit. I was at my limit with that. But I will tell you this, that last year at our gala last year, when we were able to hand over a literal giant $25,000 check to the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation for all the work that we had done throughout the year, that was incredible to me because I felt like we were making a difference in the specific world that affected JC. So to me, that's the biggest thing right now is making that donation. Now, since then, we have been busting ass to raise money again for another organization, but it's throughout this things have been born. New projects and new ideas have been born throughout.
So many.
And they just continue to grow. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I do the podcast every week, but we're on social media all the time. We're doing things like it's continuing to grow, and it's never about recognition.
No.
It's never about any of that stuff. It is about trying to get people to look, draw them in, and say this is where we need to be because they're doing great things. And to be honest with you, the best part of what we do is hearing people in our lives on our social media platforms telling us that seeing us or being in there was the best part of their day because they were having a bad day.
Yeah. Or reading a comment
And like this one of those things where it's like I know that we have been going strong for 130 plus days on this, and it was something that it was kind of said out of pocket, and then we stuck with it. But
we really quit saying things out loud. Man.
Well, we think out loud. We stopped having muted conversations, and
that's what happens.
And people catch it. I told you guys we're going to get behind the scenes.
Tattoos happen, piercings happen.
But it's like one of those. It's like I was actually talking about that today. I said it is getting hard. It is a struggle for us to find things to do every single time, and a lot of times we're going on and just having a conversation. Yeah. But then something always seems to happen. There's always some kind of antic. There's something that happens. And then you get the one person that'll tell you that it was the best part of their day because they had a bad day or because they were struggling and they just needed to laugh. And a lot of times we know when bad days are happening, and we try to then gear what we do towards that.
Yeah.
So although 100% of what we do is to raise awareness and to raise money, it's also just to bring people joy. And if me walking downtown in our city in a giant bear costume that's hot as hell, like there was a couple, but there was one girl that I don't think she could have been happier.
No, that made her day. She lit up.
That made it all worth it. That entire thing made it all worth it. And so that's what it is for me. It's about being able to just make people laugh and make people happy. And do we have social media followings that are in the millions and have little check marks by them? No, but to me, I don't need any of that stuff. I just need the real people that are going to be there all the time, that we can continue to call family and make it work.
So studio audience had a question.
Studio audience, they're over in the back. I see it on a cue card. It's back there. You in the back, ma'am. Okay. So I'm reading what the cue card says. It's on my monitor here.
There it is.
It says, what has been one of your most fun moments in your very large bag of shenanigans to raise money?
Oh, man.
I just know that we will shenanigans. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
God.
I slipped that one in.
The favorite, let's see.
You got now favorite, man. So you got to really think about this fun moment, because you got to think about this, because if you say something that was fun but you didn't like, they're going to want you to do it again.
Well, I mean, we've done things that were fun that we don't like.
That's a lot. That's a lot of it.
I mean, that's a lot. They're fun, but we don't like them. See, you could do the eating thing.
I can.
I tend to be no. Just because it's hard. I can't. It's hard for me to do that.
The people are telling you that they don't want you to say no anymore.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm seeing. That's what we're getting.
But if it comes to drinking something, or pain,
right,
with exceptions, to head waxing.
Don't wax your head, folks. For the world out there,
don't do it.
It's a bad idea.
The drinking the pain thing. So I mean, one of the funniest moments for me was when we were just sitting there snapping each other with his bands.
That was
that was great.
That was horrible. That was horrible. That
Okay.
was the most. It's the worst. It hurts. You know.
Well,
God, I don't. You know what?
a little pain's good for you, you know.
Right. It lets you know you're alive.
Yeah,
It
man.
really does.
Yeah.
And pain is just weakness leaving the body. That's what I've been told. Which
I
means
mean,
we had a lot of weakness on those lives.
yeah.
Because a lot of it left us.
I mean, the spicy. Yeah.
That what you know what
The
that,
Lord Farm,
but
that was fun.
there you go. You know what? I love the studio audience, man. Having an audience, dude,
Yeah.
is the best thing ever. Yeah, we were with one of the
Hold on. I got this. Corral.
right.
There we go. I did it. I said it right. If you hear this, corral.
She's one of the coolest people that we've been able to meet through this app in person.
Yes.
We were able to go through that whole thing and
Actually
meet her.
meet
Now
her in
it was
person.
for horrible circumstances.
Yes.
But we were able to meet her, and then we turned around and we did a hilarious live when we came back the next month, where we dressed up. We had Shrek and Lord Farquaad.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
I was definitely the Temu version Shrek.
Yeah, that was
fun.
So y'all want to, if anybody in here is not following us on TikTok, check us out. Go back and look at the Halloween area. You'll see it. You can't miss it. But we try to do a lot of fun things on here, and we try to involve a lot of other people. We try to collab as much as we can with other people. That's to me the biggest way that we can help the community, because we're here for the same reasons. I've said it in the past. We are absolutely not in a competition with other organizations on here. That is not what we started out to do, and that's not what we're going to do. I think that some organizations they lose sight at some point with what they're doing, but at the same time, we're all here for the same reason, and I don't mind working with anybody as long as you are genuine people and you're willing to put in the effort that I'm willing to put in, which is a lot.
I mean, we've had we wish we had the ability to, the span of the reach to do for other people and other things. Like we really do.
Yep.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of reach out. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of, it's a lot of networking. It's a lot to do to get involved with other people and to do other things, because everybody has their own mission. You may be in the same level, but everybody has their own mission and their own ideas of what's going on. But this community, whether you're here as a survivor, whether you're here as an angel parent, you meet a lot of really amazing people. And we met a lot of amazing people last year when we were at CureFest, and we're working with those people now. We've seen other organizations born since then that have been created, and they're doing amazing things. And it's people that we were able to meet there, and they decided that they were going to do their own type of thing, which is great. There is plenty of space out here for all of it to be done and for us all to work together. And everybody has supported us, and we want to support them as much as we can too, because we're in the same fight here. So let's, we will, and definitely all of those organizations I put on our website, and I make sure that I link them, because they're all doing great things, and I want to make sure that they get the following that they deserve and the support.
All right, so we did the best moment. I know we're running out of time, so we did the best. Now, so what would be now? It could be it could be something that not necessarily you and I have done together, but since we've got together and started doing things, what is in your mind the worst?
Well, I mean, I know what you're gonna say, but you know what? You got to pick something. You got to go off the head wax and pick a different one.
Oh no! No, mine's gonna involve a kid. Since I'm, so that's what I'm
sure?
saying. Yeah,
I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to give it away. But I'm pretty sure that I know what it is,
but,
and it has to do with the location. But I'm going to move on to what is, the citric acid. Yeah, studio audience.
Hold on. So I think we could agree that was the worst. As far as challenges.
Physical pain was the worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
Like it was. It's like catching lightning in a bottle. That was lightning in your mouth, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
I would rather a lot of other things happen than that ever again in life.
I didn't realize my tongue had that many crevices.
I
Because they were exposed.
don't know why the military's not using it. in interrogations. I'm gonna be honest with you right now.
Geneva
Take a
Convention.
spoonful of this.
No, it's a Geneva Convention.
Is it?
It's probably
I don't think it is.
It might be.
I don't think it is. Somebody in the studio audience, if you could check that out and see if citric acid is part of that. I don't think it is.
It should be.
That's
right up there with waterboarding, man.
Waterboarding might be a pleasure compared to this stuff, man.
So
it is
bad.
horrible. God, you know what though? Let's see. I mean, honestly, it's all been bad, and we've complained about every single thing that we've done because none of it's been fun. But I mean, we've eaten fish tacos, and when we say fish tacos, we mean a whole fish inside of a tortilla. That was bad. We've had pickles that were filled with things. I mean, I didn't like any of those. But I think honestly, the worst, because it smelled the worst, and I felt like you could never get it off of your body, was the pies that we did outside. They were filled with all kinds of fish and things, and it was not good.
No,
it was not pleasant.
No,
and there was a lot of aggression. And things that were taken out on us by the women that surround us.
That's a normal thing, though.
But this was like they were holding it in, man.
Yeah.
I felt like we didn't fight for a couple weeks, and they're like, you know what? You done messed around, and we're going to do something, and you're not going to like it. And it was something else.
Yeah.
So go ahead, man. I mean, citric acid's out, and head waxing's out, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say it.
Well, I mean, does it have to be as far as alive, or just since I started doing this?
I was just saying this, man. I think that we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got to upload this, and the file's getting pretty big.
But don't you got better internet now, though?
Well, the file's still big, though, man.
You know.
I mean,
worst.
the rubber bands in the milk. That was hilarious.
Which one?
The rubber bands in the milk.
that
was funny. That you should do again.
Well, we could do that again. That's painless. It did squirt me in the eye.
Well, it was something serious.
Yeah. Man, you know what? As far as the live aquarium that we went bobbing for seafood. Did you block that out?
I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things that we did.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
That was like, hey, we've got a great idea.
Instead of bobbing for apples,
we got to stop saying we got a great idea.
Yeah.
We got to knock that off, because none of our ideas, I think, are great.
No.
I think they're doable.
Yes.
And it's not a good thing to do. But you know,
it is what it is.
Whatever. Did y'all love it? Y'all loved it. That's what we're asking for. You're asking if the studio audience loved it.
It was
checking in the back.
It had octopus in there. It had a crawfish. It had fish.
We had a whole lobster, octopus.
There's a fish in there.
There was fish in there. There was what else? There were things the fish was falling apart, literally.
Oh, from the
It was falling. Yeah. It was gross. And then Well, we fed the ducks and stuff for.
They were happy.
They were excited. They're like, we don't usually get lobster around these parts, so they thought it was a good idea. But you know what? This is definitely something that's hard to do, and we have a lot of fun doing it, and I wish we didn't have to do it. I wish this was something that was not a thing. I wish that it was something that wasn't needed by us. And I've always said that we are a business that we want to go out of business. I don't want to be needed anymore. I want to be able to just, come up with something else that doesn't involve what we're doing. But unfortunately, there's a whole community that needs us here, that needs people to fight for them. They're kids, and although they have loud voices, the people don't want to listen. So we have to be the one to knock on the doors and say, we're here, and it's time for you to pull your heads out of your asses and listen to what we have to say. And as soon as I ever have the opportunity to do it, that's what exactly is going to happen on a House floor or a Senate floor, or hopefully in September, the White House. That is the goal. The background process has started. I know it takes a little time, which is why I wanted to make sure that I can get in there. But yeah, we're definitely supposed to be in there, and it's going to be a fun time in D.C. 2 months before a general election. I'm sure it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. But you mentioned, I think that's what needs to happen. I think you need to pack a room full of these kids and just let them talk. Like these kids could articulate more. Like
I would love it. I would love it, and I love the ones that have. Well, not love the ones that do. All of them have zero filter.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing ever. If you can get, I mean, now Zeke don't say much, but I love to hear him just
few
go
words.
off.
He's a man of few words.
But make him some loud ones though. Just a couple loud ones. Maybe a little bit naughty words if you want them to be. Whatever, man. Say what you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I would love it. I would love to get a room full of these kids together and just walk into one of these offices and say, hey, we're here. You're going to listen to what we have to say. Whatever you're doing the rest of the day, clear your schedule.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about the speeches at CureFest. Some of the ones that hit you the hardest are the ones where it is the kids that get up there and they give these full speeches it's there's no way it doesn't affect you.
No, it absolutely it is something that you take notice of, and that's what you need. I'd never wanted to kind of put the kids in the front because I feel like they need to be protected, but at the same time, the most impact comes from hearing them speak, and the most impact comes from hearing them tell you what they're feeling, and that's the biggest thing is that they don't have a voice, they don't have people telling their story, they don't have that option, and that's what we're trying to do. But at the same time, speak up, man. Just let them speak. Call these offices. I don't care. Take your kids to the Capitol and just walk door to door. That's what we did. Yeah. I mean, it was just me and my wife, but just walk door to door and walk in and say, listen, we got a story to tell. Clear your schedule.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to hear this. How many of y'all have kids in here? All right, you probably want to sit and listen.
Yeah.
And you know what? If it doesn't work, then these people are horrible human beings. That's all I'm saying. It's like, that's the reality of it, right? I mean, we've seen the attitudes of it. When we went to the Capitol and we spoke, there was a guy in the back that was laughing.
Yeah.
And we called him out that day.
Yeah.
We made sure we found out what it was about, and it was totally unrelated to what we were doing, but it was the worst time for him to be sitting there worrying about his senator that he was working for, his meetings.
Yeah.
And that was, it's know your place. Yeah. Know your place, know the time.
Yep.
But
read the room.
We're definitely going to continue kicking ass and taking names here. We're going to go live as much as we can, and we're going to raise this money, and we're going to raise awareness, and we're going to bring families together, and we're going to use every avenue that we can. And we appreciate everybody, coming into our TikTok lives and Facebook and Instagram when we try to do it that way. And, whatever decides to happen with social media, we've always got this podcast that we can reach out to people. And I've got YouTube and every other thing out there. So we're not hard to find.
We're on everything.
So find something, let us know, and, reach out. If anybody's got questions, anybody wants us to talk about something in particular, if you're having a bad day and you just want to laugh, 6:30 Central Standard Time every single damn day.
6:30-ish.
No, not around. Right on. 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are on TikTok Live every single night, and we'll be doing so until we reach our goal of 25 grand. When we reach that goal of 25 grand, we will then move on to other things that we've got to raise money for, such as CureFest and also our Christmas donations, which we raise $5,000 every single year so that we can donate to our hospital and also adopt families. This year may be a little bit different. We may be just spending the entire chunk of change on the hospital and not adopting families, not because we don't want to. We just want to make sure that we're giving the most impact. And we haven't really decided what we're going to do yet, but it's all up in the air. Really just depends on the donations that we're able to get in and get the word out there. So if you know any organizations, corporations, families with deep pockets, uncles that have a lot of money, grandfathers that have change in their pocket,
gold bricks just underneath your bed.
Just things just sitting. The people, the ones that used to stuff it in their mattress and save it there.
There you go.
Put them in contact with us. We'd love to take their donations and put them to good use here by continuing to send out care packages, but also to continue to advocate for these kids and this entire community. So that is going to be our episode for today. Now you've got 1 minute to give an outro. We're going to get it in. We're getting an hour show, man.
I know. It's your
Watch the time. You're watching the timer. It's hard to do.
All right, so how do you think this went, man? You think we're going to do this again?
I don't know. Did y'all like this? With the studio audience, we need a reaction. We need a studio audience, whether or not you like this. Now, listen, we're doing it live right now, but we're also doing the podcast is what we're recording.
I mean,
I like to have people involved.
We could start a separate podcast on top of yours.
Oh, man, how much time do you think I have?
I mean, we could do one together every Sunday because now I'm off on Sunday, so we could do one on Sunday.
Oh.
We could do one every Sunday, man.
Oh, dude,
there we are. We're there.
I don't know if we
the
need
Timmy
to do that.
Curtis show.
Oh, wow.
There it is, man.
That's terrible. Do not give him any recognition on that idea, please.
There you go, man.
Please.
That way you have, and then we'll have, yeah.
This may or may not be the first episode of this show, but we'll see how that goes. So we'll see if this is the most. I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you. I'm going to post this episode on Wednesday.
All right.
We've gone past our hour now.
We did, man.
But I'm going to post this episode on Wednesday.
All right.
If it is in the first week, if it is the most viewed episode, then we'll start our own that we record on Sundays.
You know I walk a lot, right?
I'm just letting you know.
I'm gonna listen to it.
No, man. If it's the most viewed episode, and I know which one's the most viewed episode is my first episode.
Yeah.
But if this one somehow skyrockets, then we'll have a conversation. But maybe that'll be subscription only. Subscription only, people. We got to pay for the show.
Yeah.
All right. So this episode is sponsored by nobody because nobody wants to sponsor us. And if it wants to be a sponsor of the podcast, let me know. We'll make sure to shout you out. Throw up your logo on the screen there. I promise you, we have video and audio and all that kind of stuff. Plus, you're on live, so we'll download this. We'll chop it up, split it up, and get it out there.
There it is.
So we're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right.
All right. So we're getting off.
Yeah.
We're ending this podcast, and we'll see if this is the first episode or the last episode.
I hear you.
All right. I'm checking.
Appreciate
all
you
right.
having me.
Sorry. We'll see y'all later.
All right, buddy.